Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and for this Reseller Friday, I want to talk to you about sourcing tips that will make you rich. Now, obviously, the title is a little playful because anything in reselling is not going to necessarily make you rich if you don't put the effort into it. So if you put forth minimal effort, you're going to get minimal results. It's one of the beauties of the reselling business is that the more effort you put in, the more direct, good, positive results you get. Namely, more sales, which should theoretically, if you're doing things right, mean more profit. For the average person going and working some job somewhere, they can put in more effort and it doesn't guarantee they'll get any more return out of it. They might get the same results. So if they're getting $2,000 a week and they go in and put a bunch of extra effort in, they might still, at the end of the day, get $2,000 a week. But in reselling, if you put in 40 hours of work a week, and then next week you decide to put 60 hours of work into sourcing more, getting better quality items, and listing more, you are going to get more money as a result. You're going to get a guaranteed result. And of course, I'm saying guaranteed, presuming you're doing all the right things. You're finding the right stuff. You're not just listing a bunch of junk, and you're shipping quickly. You're doing everything right. You're going to do very well. And you can, yes, become rich. And I know it's subjective. I'm not getting into all that right now. If you want to learn about being rich, get my book, You May Be Broke, But You Deserve to Be Rich. Read that. That'll be very helpful for you. But the tips I want to give you today are some basic things, but many people overlook them. And there may be some things I leave out because I'm just going off the cuff here. And so if I do leave something out or some tip that you came up with or heard, post that in the comments. I would love to hear about it, and it'll bless other people who are watching the video as well. One of the most basic things is many of the thrift stores have certain times that they put stuff out. It could be early in the morning, it could be in the evening, it could be certain days of the week. Some thrift stores don't have a lot of inventory coming in, if you're going to a thrift store, for example, and they may only put new stuff out once a week. Find out when this day is. Or if they do it every day, find out when is the most opportune time that they're more likely to be putting new stuff out. And then come during that time. There are thrift stores that I go to that I source from that are great every single day. Every day they're putting out new, great, high quality items. There are other thrift stores maybe go to once a week or once a month or once every couple months because they put out so few items and maybe only put out new items once a month or once every couple of weeks, maybe once a week. It just depends on the store. Ask. Don't just presume they put out new stuff every day. Maybe they don't. Or maybe they put out new stuff multiple times a day. You don't know until you ask. And if you ask, you'll get good things. And that's a tip right there. So many resellers are kind of shy or even ashamed of being resellers. I've seen resellers making videos talking about how they lie and tell, oh, I'm just buying this stuff for myself. Really, you're buying a cartload of women's clothing and you're a man for yourself? Come on. Nobody believes that. They know you're Why would you lie about it? I'm not going to get into the whole moral issue. I just don't understand why people want to lie in the first place. Why not just be honest? But you are limiting yourself. Let's just approach this from a practical, business-minded perspective. You are losing out potential helpers and potential money by not telling these people what you're doing. The thrift stores don't care. Those employees couldn't care any less. They're not bothered about what you're doing with the items you're buying. They're just working a job. They're not the resale store police. They don't care. And there's nothing wrong with reselling in the first place. So be honest about what you're doing because it'll open doors for you. There are thrift stores I go to. Everyone knows I'm a reseller because I tell them. I don't lie about it. I don't pretend I'm doing something else. And they hold stuff for me. Or they'll point out stuff. Hey, I know you don't buy this often, but over here we have this stack of scrapbooking materials. It might be worth something for you. They will look out for you. Of course, you got to be a good person. You got to be positive. You got to be upbeat. You got to be kind. You got to remember people's names. You got to do basic networking stuff. And you're not doing it in order to get something. You're just doing it because that's who you are. So make sure you're a good person who's approaching things in a righteous way. Things will just flow to you if you're telling people you're a reseller. So make sure to tell people what you're doing because people will look out for you in many cases. Now, as far as when people are putting new stuff out, for example, Goodwills, they have colors on clothing items. Well, keep an eye out on what the color is that is 50% off or whatever the percentage is in your particular area. Some Goodwills are doing right now, they have a posted weekly color, say purple this week. Every tag that's purple is 50% off. That's great. That could be beneficial for you and make an item worth buying. But they also, at least right now, as of the time recording this, in my area and some other areas I've heard about, they have a 75% off sale, which is actually the items from last week's color. So if last week everything 50% off that was green, and this week everything is 50% off that's purple, because last week was green, green is now 75% off this week. But that's not posted anywhere. And I wouldn't have known about it except because I tell people I'm a reseller and they know what I do. I had a manager right when I walked in Monday morning, came over and told me, hey, the color from last week is 75% off this week. That opened a whole lot of items that I wouldn't have bought otherwise, but they're worth buying now at 75% off. Another sourcing tip I want to give you, and this might be a little odd, but there are people who sell sourcing lists. I don't sell one, and I want to sell you. I'm not affiliated with anybody doing it, so I'm not giving you anybody in particular, but do some research. Some of these limited groups or limited Telegram groups or whatever it is, where they have a list or people who find stuff in their local area and they tell you, hey, this particular store has this item and it's selling for this amount and it's reselling for a much higher amount. Be on the lookout. It's a BOLO. Those BOLO lists could be valuable to you, or those groups or whatever. They can be very valuable to you. One thing I would caution you, though, is don't go on the free groups. The free groups are a disaster. There could be some good free group out there, so I'm not trying to denigrate those groups. But generally, they're just open, Wild West, and they're full of nonsense, and they're full of people whining, complaining, and they're full of people posting their own items they're trying to unload on somebody, claiming it's some great deal for resellers. It's worth investing in yourself. It's worth investing in your business if you're going to be doing that, to get a reputable BOLO list, to know items that you might be able to source locally. Because let's be realistic. As much as you know, I don't care how long you've been doing it, I've been doing this for decades, I don't know every single item out there that's worth some money. I don't know what every store is doing and what they might have on clearance. That I don't have time to go to every single store. I don't have time to even hire people to train to go to every store. It's not feasible. But you can have groups where there's people doing this for you, or they're just outsourcing. They find something, they tell you about it, and it opens the door for you to make more profit. I was in one of these groups years ago, and the very first day I was in there, they posted something. It was a little robot dinosaur toy. It was selling for like $10. And this is right around Q4 time. And I was able to get numerous of these dinosaur toys for $10 and resold them all day long for over $150. I would never have known about it. So that is something to really consider. Make sure you do research. Make sure if you have a friend who's doing it, if they give you the recommendation, make sure they don't have some affiliate link or something where they're only encouraging you because they're getting an affiliate commission. It's nothing wrong with they have an affiliate link, but make sure they actually want your best and they're not just trying to get you to sign up for their BOLO list because they're going to get a commission from it. Another sourcing method, of course, is garage sales. Depending on where you are in the country, they can run all year long. There'll be garage sales throughout the year. And the simple fact that people don't want to hear is that you need to get there early. So if you can do some proper research on social media or wherever to figure out what garage sales are going to happen, many times when they post their garage sales, they will mention some of the things they have. So if you're looking for video games or you're looking for antique books, they might mention that, and that might be where you want to go first. And then you can use apps that will literally map out all the garage sales in your area, and you can just go in a strategic pattern, hit all the garage sales, find the best items. But you need to be out there early. If it's especially important items that they have that would really make you a lot of money, you might need to get there 20, 30 minutes before they open while they're still out there putting stuff up. Even offer to help them set up. Because there are sometimes people just want this rid of stuff so quickly. If you're there early and you're not being rude or you're not knocking on their door, banging on the door or something like that, but if they're setting stuff up, you go up there, you start looking around, you ask, oh, you need help with that? You can make some good deals doing that. And the last tip I want to leave you with is going to be the tip nobody likes to hear, but you need to hear it because it's true and it's important. It's that you need to put the work in. The best sourcing tip possible is that you put the work in. I had a manager at one of the resale shops. I went in, I looked at some books, and they have a number of bookshelves, thousands of books. And I just went through and grabbed it. I think it was about 8 books. And some of those books were worth hundreds of dollars. I've never seen those books before. I have no experience with those books being worth anything. And the manager asked me, how do you know what to grab? You didn't even look at the rest of these. You just glanced at them and skipped right past them. You just grabbed those. How did you know to grab those? I told her it's because I have scanned hundreds of thousands of books over the years and typed in tens of thousands of ISBN numbers or just names of books on old antique books that don't have barcodes or ISBNs. And you begin to develop a pattern and see a pattern of what's valuable and what's not. And yes, I probably skipped some books that were valuable, but I also saved myself a tremendous amount of time because I went through every book. The amount of books that were valuable that I didn't already find just by glancing and seeing that looks unique, that looks antique, that looks potentially valuable. I've never seen that before. That looks like it could be worth something. And sure enough, it wasn't. All those books I grabbed were worth money. Anywhere from $25 up to $250. Now, part of it is because I'm blessed. I go into every sourcing opportunity expecting the best, believing for the best, affirming the best. But it's also because I don't just do that and then lay around do nothing all day. I expect the best, but I also go out and give my all. And I have scanned so many items and looked up so many items that I can tell with relative certainty when an item is worth something or not. And that only comes through your consistent and persistent effort. Get out there, source every day. And I'll give you a tip of what I do because I have over the years scanned hundreds of thousands of items, looked up hundreds of thousands of items, easily many hundreds of thousands of items. And every single time I'm out sourcing, I look up at least one new item to learn about something I don't know about. What is this weird plate over here? Let me look it up. What is this sheet music brand I've never heard of? Let me look it up. What are these boxes over here? Oh, they're player piano rolls. I found hundreds of player piano rolls. Vintage, worth quite a bit. Just keep out there looking up stuff, researching, growing in your knowledge, because as you do that, you'll start to develop I hate to call it a sixth sense, but it kind of is, where you can just look and glance and you'll just naturally discover things that are valuable where other people can't find them, where they almost instinctually grab low value items and skip right past the high value items that you naturally are drawn to because of your knowledge, because of your faith, because of your belief, and because you have done the work. So I must emphasize it again. Put the work in. Don't shrug it off. Don't try to get some sort of app to do stuff for you. If there's something that can help you, of course, use that. But put the work in. Look up a bunch of items. Look up new items every day. Even if you're not going to buy that kind of product, just look it up and learn. You'll get little things here and there that will help you build and devise an algorithm in your own mind to be the best sourcer you can possibly be. And that will help you make the most money and truly become rich if you do things the right way. You put in the effort, you have the faith of God, you will become a great success, my friend. I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.